Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another Community Connections with Ryan Sauers. Super excited today to have my friend and colleague, BT Parker, on the show. BT, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic, fantastic.
Awesome. Well, we can see in the background, you and I got to meet, I think firsthand. We met at the Run the Reagan race where I was doing the broadcasting. You had a booth, is that right?
Absolutely, we certainly did.
Does that seem like a lifetime ago? I mean, I saw a post. We were sharing a picture, and somebody on Facebook asked, "Hope you were social distancing." I'm like, "No, we've got a judge and a business owner that just think the rules are stupid, right? You know."
I tell you.
I was like, "Goodness, people always ask the craziest questions." So, but tell us you're such a strong person in the community. I know you're running for office. We want to talk about that, but let's start. You're running for office. What is the position? Because I'll butcher it.
It is the Gwinnett Superior Court Judge position.
Awesome.
So
Gwinnett
that's
Superior
what I'm
Court
running.
Judge. Okay. And I want to come back to some of the reasons you're running, but let's go back first to your ties to this community. As you mentioned, have a couple of magazines and you've been featured in them, but I learned a lot of stuff you do. So tell us about your family and your community involvement.
Well, I have been here in Gwinnett County for the last 24 years. My husband lives here and my daughter, we live here. My daughter is 15 years old. She is a sophomore, well, soon to be junior at Archer. And I remember back in the day when she was in kindergarten and I was a Grayson athletic cheerleading coach. So for 5 years with GAA. So I've done that.
It's hard to believe we're only like 30 to 35 years old, right?
There you go.
It's just people got to figure that math out. That's all. No, that's awesome. I can't think of I know all those principals up there in those clusters and back. Golly, I'm thinking with one of our magazines, did a story on the Grayson cheerleading about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, but time gets away from me. But so y'all been in the community, and that's a great area. And tell me, when did you make the decision you wanted to run for this office?
Gosh, I made the decision in 2018.
Okay.
So yes, and since then I've had my feet on the ground and I've had my ear to the heartbeat of the citizens of Gwinnett County. And so it's allowed me to see, what do people want in a judge? What do they want to see in their legal system? And I tell you, I have learned a lot, literally just from talking to the people in Gwinnett County. And people have a vested interest here. We reside here. We're taxpayers here. So I have been listening to the members of Gwinnett County.
What's something you think you've learned that you wouldn't have known before you got into this?
Well, one of the things people want is what's called a second chance court. They didn't have the name second chance court. I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second. But what they want is a court that gives them a second chance. For instance, if someone possesses more than an ounce of marijuana, that's a felony. If you steal $501 of merchandise, that's a felony. And so there's a difference between people who are bad people, your murderers, your rapists, your robbers, versus people who just make bad decisions and need a second chance. And so if you don't have, if you do have a felony on your record, now you can't get a good job. It affects your employment. It affects you getting a bank loan for housing. So it affects so many things. And just a lot of people make mistakes. So because of that, I came up with the idea second chance court. But now, something that's interesting though, Fulton County and DeKalb County have their versions of a second chance court.
Oh, okay.
And so the reason I wanted to have something like this is because, one, we need it. And two, it's something that the citizens of Gwinnett really, really want.
Well, that's one of the main things, and I've heard you sharing that. And then we were talking the other day with data. Gwinnett, I think, is about 1 million. It's about 1 million population. Is that right?
Yes, we have almost 1 million population.
So people, I know you've been here long enough to see the growth of Gwinnett, and you can probably remember back when it was one of the fastest growing counties in the country. I remember that. But it's you start talking about
your farm.
Yeah, I lived in
houses.
yeah. Well, it's funny. I lived a little bit in town growing up, so I'm a native. But growing out to Gwinnett back in the day was like, it was like, where is that? Much less going further towards Walton or Hall or any of those other counties. But but yeah, it's grown and grown. And so running for this top office is a great responsibility. And, I can just say, your enthusiasm and encouragement and you're just a pleasure to be around, BT, in terms of how you conduct yourself. And you and we correspond a lot of different ways, but you're just doing a great job. Now, what tell us what is the newest you're hearing about how this election is going to occur? Is it still on time for the same date? Is it going to happen to the ballot box? Is there any latest news? I don't even know. Ask the Mayor Lilburn that yet.
Well, looking forward to hearing the Mayor of Lilburn's interview as well. But the election is still on for June 9th. Yep. People should be expecting to get their ballots anytime, any day now, and they can simply mail their ballots back in. So they can mail them in, they can drop them off at a secure location at the voting places, or they can even wait till election day. So there was a lot to be said originally about people having to mail them in and paying for a stamp and all of that, but they don't have to do that. So I'm really proud of our Secretary of State for finding a way to make this happen, especially in the advent of coronavirus. This way people don't have to be close at the polls. So that's a great idea.
So that's what I was going to say. So I know we got the mail-in option, but the plan right now is on that date to have where you can still go vote, correct?
Oh yes, absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Still have in-person voting, absolutely, yes.
And we're going to get back to the Lilburn mayor. He did say that whatever date, May 13th is a big date, for Gwinnett, the state, the country, because to see when we were talking about events, for example, when will these events? Because you and I were talking about we were around the Reagan. Well, that was one of the last big Gwinnett events because a couple weeks after that things started just shutting down. And so, it went from everybody's out and we're doing this and people are getting hugs to shut down. And it's what's interesting, BT, as a person that lives in the community, haven't you been impressed with our small businesses and how they've been so resourceful?
I really have been. And that's an awesome thing. A lot of people are just being inventive. They're being creative. You have people in the community who are making masks. You have people who are thinking of other ways to market themselves and rebrand. One of my favorite restaurants was closed. And so I went to a different restaurant and I had never been there before. And it's a great way to support our local businesses. So I'm really pleased with the way people have been doing things out here in Gwinnett County. Our business leaders doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And, I see so many of them through the local stuff I do. It's just a trickle-down effect. It really is a trickle-down effect because, especially with restaurants, because here's what I like about America. The governor said XYZ, I think Monday they could open. But many of them have said it's not prudent yet because they got to get all the steps together, right? They've got to figure out how do they get people 6 feet apart and how do they get, so they've said, we're going to continue doing takeout. People are supporting us and we're going to open as soon as we can get it figured out. Other people may have had a plan and had it figured out day one. But that's the great thing. I tell people, just because the governor said you can do it doesn't mean you have to. And it doesn't mean if you say, hey, I need to wait a few weeks before I go out, that's your choice. And that's where I think we get confused. But there were people that were ready. There's other people that said, hey, we're going to continue with the takeout model. But yes, it's been really fun to watch the resourcefulness because I'm telling you what, it's, small business is tough. And when people can't come to the very thing you have to get really creative.
Absolutely. Hence us reaching out via social media, campaigning, and all of that. A lot of people went from qualifications to quarantine. And I'm thinking, wow, at least I had been out in the community for the last couple of years just talking about the platform, although I've been, a foster parent here in Gwinnett County and feeding those who are in need. I've been doing that for years, and for the last 24 years, I've been, invested in the community. But in terms of campaigning, I've been doing that the last 2 years, and I'm thinking, goodness gracious, I am so glad that I was out there.
Well, you are, and you have been, and even a fixture in that. And then, all of us, that's where this show spawned from. I think this will be like our 25th show in like 4 or 5 weeks. And so when you were mentioned before we went on air, I'm down to my final 2 terms of leadership, but I was living leadership, figuring this stuff out on the fly. And, we couldn't get in person, but I was like, how do we get, people exposure? How do we get whatever through whatever medium? So it's been crazy. And I sit there and go, goodness, we've done 25 of these. And my kids are like, what is this, your full-time job now that you created this new thing? And times I feel like it, but it's been fun because when you can't see people in person, getting to do this is the next best thing. So,
and that's how your program developed, because of your creativity. I mean, because of coronavirus, and hopefully you will keep this going for forever. I mean, this is a great way to reach people.
We will, because we got my radio show, we go in the studio, and then we come out through the podcast format of Marketing Matters. But you're right, this is something that developed, which will be something we will continue, BT. Community connections will be something that also may go into a podcast, but it goes through YouTube and all of the channels, and it allows me to quickly bring great guests on from any great community for 15-20 minute interview, and so yes, that will be something we continue well after COVID-19. But it was funny. I did a couple of Facebook Lives, and then in my brain it clicked. I said, people want to hear something beyond the evening news and about people sick or dying. And I mean, not that it's not totally there, but it's all we hear about. And so that's why that spawned. And people need that. So, but I want to make sure.
Uplifting, yes. We definitely need something uplifting.
Well,
absolutely. Your community outreach is fantastic.
No, I appreciate it. Well, we try, and I appreciate you sharing this stuff. But yeah, it just connected in my brain. It's like Community Connections TV, and we can bring people together, and we can use the technology, and it's almost as good as being in the same place. Not quite, but almost. But let's be sure people can, for your campaign or reaching out to you, or if they have questions, how can they best connect with you, BT?
Fantastic. Brian, if I may just tell them a little bit more about my platform.
Yeah.
Is that okay? All right. Please. Fantastic. So, well, there are three things that I want to do here in Gwinnett County, and that's because this is what the citizens of Gwinnett County have told me that they want. One is the Second Chance Accountability Court. The second thing is a Project Prison Prevention Program, wherein we bring juvenile justice into the classroom. And I have spoken with J. Alvin Wilbanks, our superintendent of almost 180,000 students here.
He's a friend of mine. He's a good man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he's been the only superintendent I've known here in Gwinnett County. But I have spoken with him as well as members of the school board. And they really believe that this is a great program, a great idea, and they want to talk and interact more with regard to it. So we really need to bring juvenile justice into the classroom so that our young people know 13 to 17 years old, if you commit a felony, you will be in my court. And I don't want to see that. So that's one of the second things I would like to do, and a judicial efficiency committee, which sounds kind of boring, but especially like now when you have this COVID-19, we're going to be backlogged. And so we need to find ways to make sure that we're more efficient. I have literally practiced law in about 100 of the 159 counties.
Wow.
So yes, truly. And so what I would like to do is bring some of those efficiencies from other counties to Gwinnett County and help transform it to make it a better county. So
that's awesome. Well, I mean, that's the thing. People run for, I came close for running for an office a couple of years ago, but you've got to have what your vision is and what you're going to do versus just running for something. And those are three wonderful things. And again, I think personally, as we kind of come to the end, when you can take your experience of all these counties and things you've seen and take the best of them, that's what I try to do. All the stuff I do across the country, I just try to bring it back here and apply it, because there's, nobody has nobody has all the right information. You can kind of create the recipe and apply it right here in Gwinnett.
Absolutely.
Now, how can people connect with you and your campaign and whatever contact info you have?
Well, they can go to the website at btparker4judge.com, btparker4judge.com. They can follow me on Twitter at btparker4gwnt, which stands for BT Parker for Gwinnett, but BT Parker 4, and that is the number 4, GWNT. They can follow me on Instagram at btparker4, the number 4, Judge 2020. And on Facebook, BT Parker 4 Superior Court Judge.
Awesome. Well, hey, I hope we'll be getting this out. I hope you guys will share it and get it out. And BT, thanks for being my friend and colleague and doing a great job. And I can only wish you the best. And we're gonna all get through this together. So I appreciate you coming on the Community Connections show today.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. And I was also recognized as one of the 100 most influential women in Georgia. And so what I would like to do is continue to use my contacts to help make Gwinnett County great. BT Parker, be sure to mark her.
All right, I love it. That's BT Parker, folks. So get out and support her. She's doing amazing things. And BT, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, folks, it's been another Community Connections. This is Ryan Sauers. We will see you next time.